Welcome to Let's Talk Petty. We are not petty, but we love talking about it.
So does Alexa.
I didn't even say anything that was close to Alexa.
That time you did, and it worked perfect. Maybe we need to rewind and hear what exactly you said that set it off so we never say it again.
Nah.
I'm
that's
Andrew.
Too much work. I'm Kate.
Welcome to Let's Talk Petty.
Why, thank you.
Glad you could be here today.
Yeah, it was hard for me to get here to our house.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God I made it.
You overcame obstacles to make it here, but you made it.
I did.
So I have a great story for you today.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of the name Bill Gross?
Bill Gross?
You might know him as William Gross.
Oh, that is William Gross.
Mm-hmm.
No, I have never heard of him.
What about Sue Gross?
Nope.
Well, today's episode is about two people you have no idea who they are.
Woo!
Bill Gross versus Sue Gross.
Are they gross? Like, I'm sorry.
You had to go there.
Yeah, those poor people. I'm sure they've heard that like 10,000 times.
Sure, they've heard a lot of gross jokes.
Mm-hmm. It's
Nothing.
still funny.
All right, well, that's who we're talking about. William G versus Sue G.
Now you're not even going to say the last names because of my horrible
your
joke?
Horrible pun. But they are, well, I'll say they were husband and wife.
You don't say.
And very wealthy.
Mm.
So you know how that's going to end up.
Wonderfully.
Yes. So Bill Gross, he co-founded something that you're probably going to know all about. He co-founded a company called Pacific Investment Management Company.
Yes.
You might know it as PIMCO.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Yeah. You don't know anything.
I don't.
What about his nickname? Guess what his nickname is?
The G-Man?
Nope. The Bond King.
Oh. Okay. Good
So
for
he's
him.
into money management.
Is he into junk bonds?
Funny enough, yes. And he is actually, well, we'll talk about it. But funny enough, yes. He kind of set the whole craze off of junk bonds.
Mm.
So good guess.
I was just stealing a line from Wedding Singer.
I know. The whole time I was reading about this guy and I read the word junk bond, that's all I could think of. And Drew Barrymore going,
Yeah, that's because he says, I don't tell people that you're into junk waitressing.
Funny scene. So Bill Gross was born April 13th, 1944. So he's almost 80 years old now.
Mm.
He's 82 at this point. He was born in Ohio, and he earned, and this, I think this is important for the episode, just in talking about him, he earned a bachelor's degree in psychology from Duke University.
Did it teach him how to deal with people or how to gaslight people?
Maybe both. A little bit of both. Just interesting that that's what he graduated with, and with how he deals with people, it's he uses it. I'll say that much. He uses it. He uses his psychology.
Uses it for bad, I'm assuming. Just
for his advantage.
Okay.
I'm trying not to say too much because a lot of it's going to get explained.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do it now, our episode's going to be like 10 minutes long. You're going to miss a lot of great details.
Okay.
So he is a risk taker. That's how he got to be known. And actually, right after he graduated college, he didn't go into psychology, he didn't go into money. He actually started his career gambling and counting cards and as a poker player. So that kind of gives you his mindset of how he thought about things.
The old counting cards trick.
And apparently he was pretty good at it. But after a while, he realized that he needed to make more money than that. Or maybe he got recruited, no idea. But he joined a company, Pacific Mutual Life, as an investment analyst. So you invest in something, he analyzed it. That's all I know about investment analysts. I'm definitely out of my element in a lot of these things that we're going to talk about to kind of set the groundwork for this guy.
We need to get somebody who has a lot of money in this so that they can explain it to us, because they're always super excited when they have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
They're always very excited to explain to anyone who will listen how much money they're going to have.
Oh, yeah. It's fascinating when it's your own money.
Exactly.
So he went to work there for Pacific Mutual Life shortly after. And then in 1971, so 5 years after he graduated with his psychology degree from Duke, he founded his own firm. So he was good at what he did, or realized he needed to do something on his own, wanted to be on his own. So he started his own company, PIMCO, Pacific Investment Management Company. And he started it with 3 other people, 2 of his friends.
What was the point of getting the degree in psychology?
I don't know.
Just for something to do while he was rolling in his junk bonds?
He didn't start junk bonding till after.
Well, I didn't say he did it during. I'm just saying, did he get like...
I really don't know.
I mean, I guess it kind of can make you sound cool no matter what job you end up doing.
Mm.
I mean, you can stop somebody and be like, listen, I have a degree in psychology. I mean, it wouldn't stop me. I would continue on my
right. I guess
whatever I was saying. But still, I could see some people being like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I really don't know, but I guess you could get into finance really if you're good at it. You don't, I mean, I guess a degree is going to help you, but he was really good at what he did. So he founded this company with 2 of his friends, and that's when he became known as the Bond King. And this is why. He created, now tell me how much sense this sentence makes to you. He created the first investable market for fixed income securities accessible to all investors.
What do you mean? What is it?
0% then.
No, it makes sense. He was trying to get it where anybody can invest, right?
No.
Okay, then I guess I did not get it.
So fixed income securities are when a person takes their money, basically loans it out to a company as like a bond would be, but they actually get paid on it monthly, and then at the end they get all their money back, or they get paid some sort of percentage of it in increments during the course of this bond, however long it is that they let the company have this money.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know this was a thing.
It is a thing.
I don't know what bonds are.
Well, that's what I just explained. So he basically took all that. That's how his business took off, and then he is credited with aggressive bond investing, which is exactly what that is. He turned the bond market into a game of high risk and reward. So bonds weren't really traded before he started out, before he really got people to see, hey, you can make money off of trading bonds, and especially on junk bonds, because the way junk bonds works, you take an investment off of something that possibly isn't going to make it, and you bet on that, and the payoff is really good on it. If you take this money, and you can tell how much I don't know anything about what I'm talking about, and just a basic explanation.
So you put your money into something.
Yes.
That may not work.
But if you do your research and you know what you're looking at, you can say, hey, that's a really risky, but I think it's going to pay off. And that's how he made his money. He was really good at doing that. Basically, like, he was basically good at gambling, which is where all of his poker playing and all that stuff came into play. And
so
maybe some of his psychology.
We need someone to look at our podcast as a junk bond.
It is definitely a junk bond. It's definitely junk.
See if they will sponsor us.
Mm-hmm.
That could be our whole pitch.
That it's going to have a great payoff at the end.
Yeah. It's going to clearly go places.
So clearly this has turned into a investing podcast.
No, not an investing podcast, just a way for us to make money
and
off
I'm sure
of
people
this.
are making fun of us right now because of the fact that we know nothing. And I know nothing about this, despite the fact that I'm trying to explain what this guy did.
I feel like a lot of people don't know what bonds or junk bonds are.
Yeah.
I don't think that we are unique. That's why not everybody is into bonds or in bonds, like the whole investment thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that we are unique.
I was kind of uninterested in it, but I figured I had to learn the bare minimum just so I could explain what made this guy so well off. So he was basically betting on things that people never would have bet on before and traded them to make even more money on them. And then people started doing that, and he did that for people, and that's how he made people money. They had to put their trust in him that, hey, he knows what he's doing based on his track record. Then he takes everyone's money and turns it into a large pool of money, which he makes money off of.
Okay. I mean, so if So the only way you get your return is if this thing you put your money into ends up being successful.
Correct.
But it feels like if you have a lot of people putting money into it, that would
Potentially
contribute to it being successful, because then you're able to advertise or do whatever you need to grow your business.
Well, I don't think they work exactly like that, but that's neither here or there. We're not here to argue about bonds.
No, not arguing. I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, we're not here to understand bonds. We're here to talk about how petty people are. I guess I'll just take it that that's how he became famous and became known as the Bond King.
Got it.
Without knowing any background about what junk bonds do, he just did it. That's what he's famous for. If you want to research it after, you're more than welcome to.
I don't want to research it. I just want to throw it out there for people to consider us a junk bond and to put their money into us.
We're the junk bond of podcasts.
Yeah.
That's our tagline. That's our new one.
Sounds so terrible.
Let's talk petty, the junk bond of podcasts. So just to tell you how successful the company became, in 2022, they were managing assets of nearly $2 trillion.
Holy crap.
Yeah. It's the largest active fixed income fund management firm in the world. So this guy kind of knew what he was doing.
Wow. And I don't even know what it is.
And they've got $2 trillion for it.
That's why they're called Pimpco. Pimp.
Well, they need the other P. We can call them Pimpco if you want.
Yeah, that's what I said.
It's Pimco.
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 Pimco. Yeah, but when you say it, it sounds like Pimpco.
That's just the English language and the alphabet. I can't help that.
Yeah, so now I'm just going to call him Pimp.
That's fine. The Pimp King.
Mm-hmm.
Came up with a new nickname for him. The
sure
82-year-old Pimp King.
He'll love it.
Also a fun fact about good old William Gross, Billy, if you will. He is a philatelist.
Oh, yes.
Do you know what a philatelist is?
Let me see. I'm going to guess.
Mm-hmm.
Philatelist. Philatelist. It is.
Come on, I know you've got this.
It is somebody who loves to flatter poltergeists.
Couldn't be any farther away from what it actually is.
Yeah.
Unless it's a stamp of the movie Poltergeist because it's a stamp collector.
Is that what it is?
Yes. A philatelist is a person who collects stamps.
Why do they have such a ridiculous name for it?
I don't know why they couldn't just call stamp collectors stamp collectors.
It's probably because it's so freaking boring.
Well, however boring it is, this guy's got millions of dollars worth of stamps. And he collected this whole collection of British stamps in 2007. He sold them for $9 million because it was a whole collection of them. Took that $9 million and donated it all to Doctors Without Borders.
Oh, that's nice.
He was a very philanthropical man, as was his wife. So while they made billions of dollars and were very well off, they definitely donated a lot of their money and gave it away.
That's cool.
Yeah, so if you want to take anything positive from him, that's what you're going to take away positive.
Not that he's a pimp.
That's about it.
Or, what's it called again?
A philatelist?
Philatelist? Who came up with that name? I've got to I'm researching this. Philatelist?
Philatelist.
It makes up it sounds like a made up word. That
Maybe
is a made up word.
I'm sure there's a reason, but maybe it's just a made up word that someone came up with.
A philatelist.
I wouldn't even want to be called that. I'd want to be called a stamp collector.
What is the point of that word?
I don't know.
It's making me angry. Philatelist.
Kate's getting angry.
I think I like the word philatelist.
And you don't want it to be used for something as stamp collecting.
Yes, because it's stupid. That's stamp collector. There's your there.
I
That's
don't
what
make
you are.
the rules. I don't make the words. I just speak them. Yeesh, you are mad.
I am mad about philatelists.
So he founded this company, worked there for many years, but in 2014 he had to resign from his company because of a period of internal management struggles that became public. And most notable one was with a man named Mohammed El Arian. Don't know if that's how you spell it, say it. I know that's how you spell it. I don't know if it's how you say it. El Arian. It's got a dash in it. It's one of those names. And he was actually the one that Bill thought was going to take over PIMCO from him.
Oh, so he was kind of like his protege.
Basically, yes. He had expected that he would step into his shoes at one point in time. Despite the fact, like we're going to talk about, that he had a completely different investment strategy than he did. He was more safe, whereas Bill would take huge risks, and that's how he made his fortune. But a little more details on this. March 10th, 2014, Al Arion was going to have a farewell party from the company. Like most people do, leave a company, been there a while, go away party, buy a cake, sing a song, pat them on the back, and they're gone. Right?
I don't know. I guess.
Well, you've had that before, haven't you? Didn't someone make you a cake or give you a card or something when you were leaving?
I think so.
So why are you making fun of this?
Because I usually try to avoid them at all costs.
You avoid your own going away parties?
Yes, I don't want that.
I'm not saying you want it. I'm just saying it's a thing.
It is a thing. It's terrible. I don't want that attention on me. No, thank you.
Judgy much?
No, terrible for me. I'm saying I don't want that like that part of it, like that attention, like probably because I'm just emotional, and so when I'm leaving, I don't want to cry because I hate crying in front of people. So don't.
Just wave from a distance.
Yeah, there you go. That's fine with me. All right,
see
bye.
Ya.
I mean, I'm probably never going to see him again.
True. So it wasn't a surprise that he was leaving. He had actually announced internally in the summer and fall of 2013 that he was likely going to be leaving. And Bill Gross asked him not to, didn't want him to leave, because of it's a financial company, and any instability in a financial company can cause problems with people that are giving them their money to invest it for one reason. But again, he thought he was going to take over for him. His reason for leaving is the typical cliche answer. He wanted to spend more time with his family. The answer everyone gives. But there was a good reason. There was actually backing for this one this time. He thought it was going to be more important to be a good dad than a good investor. And he realized he needed this change in May of 2013 because he had his 10-year-old daughter write him a list of 22 milestone events in her life that he had missed because he was so busy investing other people's money. And that kind of clicked with him and said, I need to be home more and be able to see her and maybe just do this, but still do it less. So he wanted to leave the company, and he let everyone know that he was going to be leaving for that reason.
I mean, why couldn't you be like, hey, I need less hours. Well, I'm going to stay here. I don't want to take over, but I'm going to stay with this company. I like this company. But guess what? You have me for less time.
He actually said that after he left. He was getting interviewed, and someone said, why didn't you just stay there and work less? He's like, honestly, I never thought about the fact of maybe working only 50% of the time instead of all the time that I actually was working, which would have just been normal, which leads me to believe that there was just huge problems internally for him to make a statement. I never thought about that.
Yeah, there's no way. He's obviously not a dumb person.
And when you hear about the way that Bill Gross acted towards people, it'll make a lot of sense.
Okay.
So on February 24th, this was about 3 weeks or so before this going away party for Al Arion, the Wall Street Journal published a report describing how their previously close relationship had been deteriorating. And Gross was putting the blame on Al Arion, saying it was his fault that they weren't getting along anymore. And it was because, again, he was the exact opposite of him. That basically was where they were clashing at this point. He wanted him to be more risky with the investments, and he did not want to.
If he was so opposite, why is he trying, and he wants somebody to be like him to take over, why is he trying so hard to have him take over when they're not the same? It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. This guy's very eccentric. I don't know.
Oh,
nothing that he does make sense.
So he's putting himself... Okay. He has a psychology degree.
This is why I thought it was so important to talk about this degree.
Yeah, but he's putting himself in a situation that is, it's going to fail. Any way you look at it, if you want someone to run a company like you, then you pick somebody like you. You don't go for somebody that is the opposite.
Well, I think that's what he's trying to explain to him after all these years of seeing what he did. His investments almost always paid off. They almost always made a ton of money on them. Very rarely did any of his investments not come through. So I think he was hoping at some point this guy would be like, wow, this system actually works, whatever his system was of, the research and everything.
But if he doesn't view it that way, he's not ever going to. You're not going to change his mind.
Right.
After that long a time, like how long do you keep going at something before you're finally like, well, they're never going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And then just move on, let them fail, I guess, if you think they're going to fail.
Yeah. There's just so many moving parts in an investment company like that, though, when you want people to keep giving them their money. You just need stability. Mm-hmm. And I think anything that shows otherwise, people aren't going to have confidence in that company, which eventually did happen.
Do you think that he thought he would be able to take those risks, but also bring that stability because of the way that he thought? Is that what you think like he was thinking?
Possibly. If everyone just thought like him, everything would be good. People would be like, well, maybe they'd missed this one, but 99 other ones they've made, so it's okay. I'll keep investing with them. And if everybody was on board with that tactic, people would know what they're getting into.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Just my personal thought as a financial expert. You know me.
Yes.
So after this Wall Street Journal article came out, Gross read it, wasn't too happy with it. And he told Reuters, did an interview with them, that El-Arian was trying to undermine him, which is why their relationship fell apart. And that he had, quote, evidence that El-Arian wrote the Wall Street Journal article himself.
So he's not a reporter.
Not a reporter. He's
nor a writer.
Nope.
But he is all of a sudden.
And he has evidence of this.
Yes. Okay. All right.
He's got great evidence of it, which never came out, of course.
What?
So El-Arian gets wind of this, probably rolls his eyes and was like, I'm done with this guy. So he actually canceled his party because of this, because he didn't want anyone that was there to get mixed up in it and involved and forced to take sides in any of it, because he was afraid that's what was going to happen at this going away party. So he canceled his own party out of respect for the people that worked there.
And that says a lot of
what was actually going on.
Yeah.
And what he was afraid, even though he only said that little bit, it's almost like he was afraid that more was going to come to the surface at this party.
Well, yeah, because if obviously he is eccentric, so he's thinking, who knows what this guy's going to do at this party.
And honestly, since he's left the company, he really hasn't said, or after he left the company, he hadn't said a bad word about it, talked very little about it. He's been very quiet about it for whatever reason. So kudos to him, I guess.
Probably just want the issues of it. Sometimes it's just not worth voicing your opinion about things.
Yep. So he left, moved on. He's doing his own thing now. And shortly after this was when Bill Gross was forced out of his own company that he founded almost 30 years previous. He got forced out, all because the conflict was coming to the surface. People were reading about it, seeing it, and people didn't have the confidence in the company, which is what he was afraid of. They just didn't have the confidence in the company anymore. So they started to underperform compared to what they had done previously.
But the lack of confidence in the company, didn't it come from his own actions? With
El-Arian, yes. Because people were reading about it. More small little details were coming out here and there.
So he was afraid. So then he made it happen?
Made it even worse by being petty with, well, he wrote the article. I've got evidence of it. And it's so silly, right? He's putting a psychology degree to use.
I was just going to say, thank God he has that psychology degree.
So add on all of this, he gets pushed out of the company in 2014. 14 years previous, in the year 2000, an investment company called Alliance had bought PIMCO. He sold it to them for whatever reason. Don't know, don't care, but he sold it to them. And you know how investment companies, when they come in, take over a business, the people that run it generally don't like how the new people that are investing all this money in the company want to run things. There's always going to be a clash. A lot of people leave the companies at that point. But he stuck it out for 14 years, had all sorts of clashes, all sorts of problems with this company, all sorts of tension. But in 2014, they got together and they were discussing bonuses for the top executives of the company, including Alliance, this company that now owns PIMCO, that invested in them. And based on what the discussions were and the bonuses, whatever it was, he did not agree with it. And he told the CEO of this company that bought his company to F off to his face, which you got to imagine in boardroom meetings like that. I'm sure it happens a lot. But he says that's the single thing that got him pushed out for, which I don't agree with. I know that's got to happen more often than not in meetings like that, where you got the top executives running this billion-dollar company. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, imagine the amount of ego in that room alone. I mean, most of the time, higher ups. I mean, that's why I always call them bigwigs. Like they are not very humble. So
not at all.
I can only imagine. And then you got his crazy ego. Why did he stay at what was the point of selling?
I don't know. Influx of cash. I really don't. I'm not sure. Maybe they made an investment in his company that they were trying to make money on. That's what they're an investment company. So maybe they saw potential of making money on them.
Part of the business world I have no clue about. Just
I don't really want to know all about that.
No.
Leave it to someone else.
Yeah, sounds exhausting.
So he says that was the reason that he got pushed out. There had to have been more reasons, because after he left, they wanted their hands washed clean of him, didn't even want him mentioned in the company anymore. This was his company that he founded, by the way. So
they're trying to erase him from everything.
They literally did. There was a conference room in the PIMCO offices called the Founders Room. Literally called the Founders Room. There was pictures of him up on the wall, along with his two friends that founded the company. And after he left, even though he was a founder of the company, they renamed the room and they redecorated it. And part of their redecorating was taking all of his pictures down and all of his name, anywhere where his name was in this area.
So not only is he very petty,
they're very petty.
Their response is like, okay. Well, one up you on your petty.
But he one up them back.
Oh, okay.
So remember that meeting that you had where he told him to F off and they were talking about bonuses. So he's privy to all this information about the bonuses that were going to be coming out.
Oh, man.
So what do you think he does?
I think that he says what happened in that meeting.
He revealed confidential bonus information that the remaining partners were going to receive, which was now larger because he had to leave before these bonuses came out.
So that means he didn't get a bonus.
He did not get this bonus. He mailed 8 copies to 8 different managing directors in the company of what these bonuses that these higher up people than them were going to be making based on the work that they were performing.
Well, I mean, that's one of the biggest flaws about bonuses to begin with.
That caused a fire in the company, as you can imagine.
It did.
So he's sitting there, brushing his hands together. Look what I just did to get back at them. So this is his petty mindset.
Okay.
And this is a 60-something,
I was gonna
70-year-old man.
Are we in a petty movie about high school children?
This would make a great movie, honestly.
What are they doing?
You'd think this guy's got millions and millions and millions of dollars. Why would he? Again, you and I've talked about this. These billionaires, why do they care about the things they care about? It's their ego, but there's just no reason to care that much. If you're not in there, who cares if your name's not on there? Who cares if there's not a picture of you up in the room? You don't work there anymore.
I mean, well, if he kept working there after they were bought out, obviously.
It'd be one thing if they hadn't been bought out and it was still his company and he got pushed out.
Mm-hmm.
But these people came in, made changes, did all sorts of stuff. It was PIMCO owned by Alliance. I don't know.
Is Alliance, you said?
Alliance, Allianz.
Okay. Oh, Alliance. I'm asking, like, I'm gonna all of a sudden be like,
that company.
That company.
So after all this, he was not very happy. Obviously,
he just seems like
he thought he was
going
to get his revenge by letting everyone know how much of the bonus the people up top were going to make. That wasn't where he stopped. He decided to sue the company. He decided to file a lawsuit in 2015, claims he was let go by, quote, a greedy cabal of executives who wanted his share of the bonus pool, among other things. Greedy cabal.
A greedy cabal. Why is it always a cabal when it comes to these vague conspiracies? It's a cabal. What cabal? The cabal.
A greedy one at that. I don't know if that makes it better or not. Now, I don't know what his net worth was back then, but in 2022, early 2022, before all the stock market tanking and everything, his net worth was $1.5 billion.
Thank God he is suing.
But so this was $2
billion.
So this was 7 years before.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably had a little bit. His net worth was probably a little bit less then.
Oh, yeah.
But had to have been worth, I'm going to guess, about $1 billion.
Well, he can't get to $2 billion. Now he can.
So he's suing them because he got pushed out and didn't get his share of these bonuses.
How much did he sue him for?
Well,
just his bonus or more?
That was unannounced. He didn't need the lawsuit money, obviously. And so in response to the lawsuit, PIMCO came back to him, their lawyers, and asked him if he had any recollection of what went down in the offices in the months prior to his leaving, resigning, getting pushed out, whatever you want to call it. This is what they wrote, such as his unofficial policy of not allowing employees to look him in the eye, docking people's pay for single typos, fining traders for standing when he thought they should have been sitting, and calling Reuters to claim the source had been his former colleague, El Arion, the one he said that wrote the article. These are some of the things that they said that he allegedly did, and asked him in response to his lawsuit against them if he remembered doing all these things, put it out there in the public to embarrass him.
What was his response? Please tell me that he actually did these things, that they could verify from people that this was a thing.
I never got his response to that, but that wasn't it. The filing that PIMCO, or the response that PIMCO put out, says it was based on a jumbled, the filing itself, the lawsuit, was based on a jumbled set of contract theories and reads more like a screenplay than a court pleading.
Wait, that was said about what? His
lawsuit.
Oh, to them.
That was a jumbled set of theories and was more like a screenplay instead of a lawsuit. So basically they're accusing him of writing a movie and sending it to them.
Well, you said it could make a good movie.
It would make a good movie.
I'm picturing as he's like trying to type up his lawsuit, all of a sudden he's like, Eureka! This would make a great movie. And then he gets it jumbled up in his head. And so in his head, he did write a movie and sent it to producers, but he's got it all.
But he's got a rough
it's
draft.
All mixed up.
He sent the final draft of his screenplay, but still has a rough draft on his computer of the lawsuit.
Yeah, so he sent the wrong thing to the wrong people. And then some producer somewhere has this lawsuit and they're like, this is a lawsuit. What are we even going to do with this? And they throw it out and both parties are so confused and he's sitting there all proud of himself. I'm going to be even richer now.
Who knows what he was thinking? Who knows? And you're going to even ask this question more than when we talk more into his life. But it was a year and a half later. They fought for a year and a half and they settled for $81 million. And concessions from the company that they agreed to name an annual company award after him. That was what he agreed with. $81 million and an annual award.
Could the reward be anything? Or was he
the Bill
specific?
Gross something or another award, investment? I don't know.
I hope it was the Bill Gross How to Be Petty award. That'd be amazing. Or the pettiest, like you have emulated his petty and perfect.
You haven't even begun. You haven't even begun to hear his petty yet.
I do have one comment about his little thing there that they said he would see a trader standing when he thought that they should be sitting. That takes me back to our episode of where I was talking about how petty is almost never personal.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what the person in their head thinks this is how it should be.
Right.
But it's never anything like actually helpful to the other person. It's not rational. It's just what they want.
Right. Because then that's not that's literally a definition of being petty.
Yes. It's like what he doesn't know what if they are like me where their back hurts. And when I sit, it hurts my back more than, and that's why I'll stand. Like he has no clue what's going on, but he does not care. It's what he wants. It's not about them at all. It's all about him.
Which is why I think we have a new category of petty, and it's called Bill Gross Petty.
Oh my God. I love it. We will name a whole category after a person. They'll be the first
He wanted
time.
that award named after him, so now we've got a petty category named after him.
Oh my God. That is awesome. We have to, actually.
Are you whispering from someone so they don't hear us in our little idea?
Yes. Don't tell Bill Gross. No, we could steal, which you have to do a follow episode on Elon Musk. And I always am drawn to Elon Musk because on the back of our computers, we have our stickers. And the one that always is in my
Which you can buy
eye
on
line.
our website.
Yes. And the one that is always in my eye line is the at Jeff Bezos copycat at Elon Musk. So I always see Elon Musk's name, but his little thing to Jeff Bezos where he made that award.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do that and send this award to Bill Gross.
We really need to have a petty Olympics for these people.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Maybe at the end of our first season, if it ever ends, we need to have like a March Madness type thing where we make up a whole voting thing where people can vote who was the pettiest out of all of our episodes for the season. We have a winner and we send them an award.
It has to be just from current. It can't be any of the past ones.
Well, we could send it to him posthumously.
Yeah. No. I want someone
like if
alive
one of the
to receive
Hatfields
it.
wins, then we just send one of their family members this award. We find out where they live. Congratulations.
I mean, that would be very funny.
And we are going to name the award the Bill Gross Petty Award.
It definitely has to be named that. But I feel like it would be funnier if it was more of like a current one. And there has to be certain requirements for it. Like how many people, when you think about it, like how many people were affected by their petty.
Okay, well, maybe we need to have an episode where we just talk about this on one of our mini episodes, but I've got a lot more to talk about.
Okay, sorry.
We'll curb
it's just
that
a
for
little
another
thought
episode.
that I came across. It says it's named
noted.
after him, so it's fitted.
So
it's
we will
fitted.
have to have
fitting.
a conversation, but we have to continue on.
All right, continue. Sorry.
So he got that $81 million, right?
Mm.
He donated it all to the Bill, or he gave it all to the Bill and Sue Gross Foundation. So he donated it all to charity.
Well,
Didn't
at least
take it.
Okay.
Who knows what they used it with, but again, he's a very philanthropical person. His wife is also, so they used it in their charity to donate and pay for things.
Okay. What is it for? Like, what is their charity
They give to all sorts of people. Like he gave that money out of his foundation to Doctors Without Borders for the stamps.
Okay.
They run all this money that they raise through their foundation to give to wherever they want. It's a pretty common thing for businesses to do. Usually the wives of these guys that own these companies or run them, they usually run the charity side of it, and they have a charity run through, and they call it something similar like their name or whatever, and they have all these people come to them, write them letters. Hey, we want money.
Okay.
It's the way it works. Which leads us to the main part of our episode. That's not even the main part. This leads us to the main part.
This is why he's got an award named after him.
Bill Gross versus Sue Gross, his wife, who have this foundation together. So it was pretty good. I thought that was a pretty good segue into actually talking about the main part of our episode.
Yes.
So all that pettiness that happened, just setting all of this up to show you what type of a petty person he is. So Sue was his second wife. He got married in 1968 to a lady named Pamela Roberts, had 2 kids, got divorced. 1985, he married Sue, and they had 1 kid together, Nick, who eventually joined the ska punk band Goldfinger, if you remember them from the 90s.
I don't.
If I played you a song of theirs that was on the radio at that time, you would remember it.
I remember the songs more than I know names.
Well, I'll have to play it for you on the way to the Petty Round Table. You'll remember it. She took care of all the philanthropy side of his business, like we talked about. She did all of that. She was basically the one running the charity. He was too busy getting awards named after him and everything else that he was doing. So they got divorced in 2018, but it's what led up to their divorce that shows you how petty he is.
Okay.
So, as can often happen in divorces, it was messy. It was gross, to take one of your jokes. So they were married for 30 years, over 30 years. And between him leaving PIMCO and their divorce in 2018 was just a wild time. It was the Wild West in their divorce proceedings.
So he's 78?
Right now?
No, during their divorce?
2016, she filed for divorce.
Oh, 2016. No, so he's 74?
Yeah, 72, 74, something like that. He's in his 70s.
God, what's the point? Just, ugh.
They didn't like each other.
All right.
They did not like each other.
Just
She was
start
the
all
one that
over
actually
again?
filed for divorce in 2016 based on irreconcilable differences.
Oh.
The old go-to. So after she filed for divorce and this starts, Bill sent a text to his wife, soon-to-be ex-wife, in December of 2016. Started it off Sugar, which was his pet name for her.
Mm.
Sugar, Sue, kind of matches. Sugar, feel peaceful while you can. War of the Roses ahead, and I can predict the winner. That's what started off this whole debacle.
I wouldn't even have responded.
She may not have. I don't know. Early December 2016, after this text message, according to court documents, Bill emailed Sue and accused her of having an affair.
How old is she?
I don't know. She's younger than him, but still kind of older. Which she, of course, denied. And counter accused him of having an affair with his personal assistant, his new personal assistant, which she claimed, quote, had ensconced in their house. So basically, this personal assistant was living in their house.
Mm.
So that's why she says he's having an affair with her.
Isn't that kind of normal for rich people, though? Like,
I don't know.
I feel like they have like
Have the
these
assistants living in the house? I mean, I think it's normal they come to their house every day, but maybe not living there.
I feel like super wealthy people, it just makes more sense. I mean, they usually have these ridiculously huge houses.
When we get out of this junk bond podcast and become super wealthy, we'll find out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then we'll get divorced after you accuse me of having an affair with our assistant.
Yes, but the assistant is the one. I get to choose the assistant.
But
So of course I'll pick a super attractive woman so that I can accuse you. Well, of course you had an affair with her. Look at who you chose. I'll gaslight you and make you believe that you chose them. And you'll be like, wait, you chose them. No, I didn't.
I've got lots of plans for the future. That probably will never happen because we're always going to be a junk bond. So after she accused him of having the affair, Sue and this other woman got in an altercation, which resulted in the police coming to their house. So, of course, that happened. But then shortly after that, Bill emailed Sue to thank her for having been a wonderful friend and partner. So they accuse each other of having affairs, sends this nasty text message to her, get the police involved after two women are fighting over him, and then he says, "You've been great."
They're already getting divorced. So why was she fighting
I don't
this
know.
person?
Why
What's
do
the
rich
point
people
at that
do
point?
anything? Don't know.
And is he bipolar?
Seemed like it. I think he's just very eccentric and nuts.
Seems like such a weird thing to do.
No clue.
Maybe he was so impressed with her fighting skills. He's like,
Just
oh
trying to win her
man,
back.
if she ever gets mad at me, she's going to take me out. I got to get on her good side.
Well, we'll come back to that.
Oh, okay.
We'll come back to that. So they have a house. Well, I'll say they have on their property 3 houses.
Hmm.
The largest house is their dream house that they had built, but there's 2 other smaller houses on the property, of course.
So a dream house and then 2 crap houses so that they can look at them disdainfully from their dream house. Look at those crap
that
houses.
we only lived in when we only had $500 million.
Those houses are crap.
But that's these people.
I mean, that's what I would do. If I was this rich, that's exactly what I would do.
So when she filed for divorce, she moved out, let him have that house for the time being. So he's living in this giant 12,000 square foot dream house of theirs by himself with his assistant.
When there's only 2 of you, what is the point of a humongous house?
I don't know. No clue.
It seems like it would be very lonely. / terrifying at night. I would always be terrified that when a
It
house
was in
is
a
that
gated.
big.
It's in a gated community, a rich neighborhood on the water. I know. But we're not talking about that. We are talking about how petty Bill Gross is.
I understand that. I'm just saying it's scary.
We're
And
not
now he's
having
in this
Kate
scary
therapy
house
talk.
all by himself. How is that therapy talk?
I don't know.
I'm
I
just
don't think
saying
he
it,
cares.
it would be scary in that house all by myself.
He's got his assistant there.
Also, an assistant. I wonder if he made her go around checking each room.
I think that's just you.
No way. There's no way that I'm the only one who would be like, this house is humongous. Anybody could be in it at any time, and how would I know?
Because they have alarms, security system, cameras. It's gated community and a gated up to their property. It'd be difficult.
Okay.
You're just imagining yourself getting attacked in this giant 12,000 square foot, 15,000 square foot house.
It's a big house. You
It is.
never
We
know.
cannot argue about the fact that it's a big house. But let me get back to the story. Yes, no. Yes. She's giving me a nod, which everyone can hear. So they were separated, but she would come back to the house when he wasn't there. Like when he was working or he was out of town doing things, she would come into the house, hang out there, do whatever. So she had moved away to a very close house, but would come back and hang out and do whatever there when he wasn't there. Because remember, this is their dream house. So
Yeah,
she
that's
says you
weird.
can live there, but I'm going to come back and hang out.
Was she living in one of the crap houses?
No, she had moved into a house that she bought that was off of one of their other houses that they had bought off of their property. They owned all sorts of houses in this little community neighborhood.
So basically, like the whole community is
A lot of
their
them were
community.
theirs, and soon to be more.
Huh.
She claimed at this point when she was coming back in and out, they were trying to work through this, whatever. She claimed that Bill sent her an email instructing her to take all the furniture and art she wanted when she moved out. And this is a very important point. And I'll also set it up with this. Bill had always complimented her when they were married, their 30 years, and he would even tell people about this that he worked with, of what a great artist she was. He would brag about her being able to imitate any great art of work or work of art. Like she could take any painting, do a copy of it, and it was almost identical. It was very difficult to tell the difference. So she was a very good artist. Apparently she had lots of time while she was managing all their billions of dollars of charity. So she was a good artist, and he always talked to people about it. And it got to a point where even after he told her, take what you want out of the house, which I'm assuming she took some stuff to put into their other house that she really liked, it got to a point where they decided to flip a coin for possessions in the house, like who would get first choice of what was left in the house. So they're like, heads, I get first pick, tails, you get first pick. And she won, and she chose a Picasso that they had hanging over their fireplace, an original Picasso, the Le Repos. Know what that one is?
No.
Well, that's the one she chose. So she didn't take it right away. They were just making a list, whatever they were doing, going to give it to their lawyers. Don't know. So he was making arrangements after this whole list gets made to get the painting to her. Because this was something they agreed to. She won. That's the first choice. She gets it. Number 1 draft pick, the painting. So he's making arrangements to get it to her, and he sees it above their fireplace, but he finds out that she already has the painting and is very confused. So remember, she was going in and out of the house when he wasn't there. She's a very good artist. And many years ago, she had made a copy of this painting that he had gave her a compliment on, told her it was really good, but she had a copy of it just put away. So one of these times that she went into the house, she brought this fake that she had done, hung that one up, took the original, and had already done something with it.
So when they flipped the coin, she already had the painting.
She was going to. The painting was there at that point, but when he made the arrangements after this was all done, this was sometime short time afterwards, day, week, whatever it was, to figure out how to get her the painting, he found out she already had it. So she had come in, swapped this painting, and he didn't even realize the fact that she had basically stolen this painting out of the house.
But she took it
And
after
these are
the coin flip.
Yes.
So how did she steal it?
Because he didn't even know she had taken it. They were making arrangements to get the stuff to her house.
Mm-hmm.
$30-something million painting. You obviously have to take some precautions with it. He was trying to figure out how to get it there, but she had already taken it. And this was one of the many games that they played against each other. Little mind games that these rich people play.
That's so confusing because what does it matter? She's going to get the painting everywhere. Anyway, who cares who got it to where?
It's just the fact that she did it without telling him and letting him know, because that was their arrangement. So she went in and did this, took it, but the funniest part is he had no idea. That's how good the painting was. It was just an odd series of things, but these were the type of games that these two would play with each other during the divorce.
They have too much time on their hands.
Way too much time on their hands. And so, funny, at their divorce trial, Bill's lawyer asked her about talking about this instance because, it wasn't on the up and up that she did this. He says, "You replaced it with a fake?" And her response was, "Well, it was a painting that I painted."
Well, that's a fake.
But it was a painting she painted, so the painting wasn't fake. That was her answer. That type of a gaslighty answer. A very petty, stupid, gaslighty answer that you would expect a 10-year-old kid that you would expect a 10-year-old kid to say to their parents when they're asking them about something.
Yeah.
Did you break the glass? Well, not in too many pieces.
That's weird.
It's very weird. So they finalized their divorce in October 2017. So over a year it took them to finalize all this. The lawyers were very exasperated, wanted it to be done, couldn't figure out how to do it. They finally settled. And she got their dream house back in the settlement. That was one of the things that she got. So she goes back in the house thinking it's, she's going to move back in. But apparently the house was in chaos and it was a wreck, allegedly. She says that she found dead fish in the air vents.
Oh, I was just going to say, did he put dead fish in the window curtain poles? You can take off the ends, and did he stick some fish in there? That was going to be my question.
In the air vents. So when the air is blowing, it's blowing this stench through the house. And she couldn't figure out what the smell was in the house, and she happened to be throwing something away in the garbage, and she found empty spray bottles of puke spray and fart spray. The scented things.
Yeah, the scented
This is a 70-year-old man.
Just gonna say
that went around his house spraying fart spray in the house to make it smell bad for her.
He clearly commissioned a 10-year-old to help him. Hey, how should I set up my wife? You can't go wrong with puke and fart spray, man. Great idea. Let's go. All of a sudden, this kid he doesn't even know is commissioned into going and buying this.
Probably was one of his grandkids. And the labels on them that she found literally was fart spray.
It's better if it's just some random 10-year-old that he was just next to at the store. And all of a sudden, he's there helping him, running around the house. This humongous house. He needs somebody with a lot of energy who would think this is hilarious. And who else would think this is so funny? I wonder, do the fart and puke cans, when you spray them, do they make like the farting noise and the puking noise? That's a waste.
Missed opportunity. Mm-hmm. Sounds like we got a new product to make.
Mm-hmm.
Fart spray with improved fart sounds.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
It is a good idea.
Add that to my list of things that I'm going to do.
That you're never going to invent. Got it.
Exactly. Bill, of course, as a 70-something-year-old man, denies this, says it never happened. But she's got proof.
Leave the proof in the house.
So that's why I'm not sure that it happened, but with how petty this guy is and how the type of games these two were playing against each other, it would not shock me if he sprayed fart spray all over this house, which for a 15,000 square foot house would take a lot of fart spray. I can't imagine how much fart spray he went into, I don't even know if Spencer's Gifts or whatever that store was in the mall where you could buy that dumb stuff, or where you even buy it, but he had to have bought a lot of it.
Yeah, you'd have to buy a lot of it. And I just thought it probably took their divorce proceedings super long because he was constantly telling the lawyers to not look him in the eye. And it would make it super awkward and they would keep forgetting.
And then he's reading the report for the day and there's one misspelled word. You're fired. New lawyer.
They had to constantly bringing in different lawyers. And then he had to explain why they couldn't look him in the eye.
Rich people, you gotta love them. So
Really
much better
weird.
than us. So 2018, we're about a year or so after the divorce is finalized, and she has to take out a restraining order against him because at this point, he is harassing her and her family. He hired a private eye to scope out her and her sister, other family members, colleagues. Why? I'm not sure. The divorce is over, but this is what he's doing with his time and his money is he's paying people to spy on his ex-wife and her family.
Oh, I mean, he's bored.
But this is after after he had put a restraining order out on her where she already had one because he accused her. Again, this is a 70-something-year-old man, and I think she's in her 60s, not much younger than him, of pulling a knife on him at one of their son's concerts in Los Angeles.
What kind of knife is she carrying around?
Why is she carrying a knife into one of her son's concerts?
I'm imagining it was like...
First of all, I'm not imagining this 70-something-year-old man and 60-something-year-old woman, however old she is, at a punk concert in Los Angeles.
Well, is it their sons, though?
Well, when you find out about his son, it's even more shocking about their relationship. We're going to talk about that shortly.
But I'm just picturing like maybe she had gone to some charity, some event or whatever. You know how they have those little cheese knives? And she just happened to, for whatever reason, I don't know, she like had put it in her pocket or something, and then she...
Apparently he did something and she had to pull it on him.
She sees him and she's like, oh yeah, and she pulls this little like curved at the end cheese knife that could not really do any damage, and he's like, oh.
So silly. So silly. But we'd have nothing to talk about.
I kind of love all of this.
So much drama. So another interesting tidbit got found out in their restraining order that she filed. This is where a lot of this information came out, was in these things that they would file against each other.
So they made everything all public
for
everybody.
It would be public, and that's where people got this information. So their dream house, like we talked about, was in this gated community, and it was called Irvine Cove. The views, privacy, everything they loved about it. They had their dream house there. 2 months before the restraining order, she had bought $37.8 million worth of houses in the community just to keep him from buying them so that he couldn't be too close to her, because he was trying to buy houses in there. So she was buying up these houses.
What the hell?
$37.8 million worth of houses.
Okay, but I have to imagine that this neighborhood is like super rich. So how many houses did that actually get her? Like 4?
It was a few, yeah. I don't remember the exact. It was definitely more than 1 or 2.
Well, that's not a lot. 4. I mean, in our neighborhood, if you had that much money, you could buy.
Right, but the fact that she spent $37.8 million to keep her husband from moving into this neighborhood, pretty petty.
It's insane.
So it's not even petty, it's insane.
Yes, this is just insane at this point.
Insane petty or insane?
Insane petty. Insane petty. That you have this much money.
But Bill, he really loved this neighborhood. He'd lived there for however many years. He wanted to be back in. So what does he do?
He hires somebody to buy a house and then sell him the house.
That would be good, but no. He bought a 5,500 square foot waterfront property across the street from her sister and brother-in-law, which is the closest he could get to her family, for $36 million.
What, does he have to be by her family?
I mean, he's got all these people stalking them and harassing them, so now he's getting right in on it.
Is this his weird way of letting her know, oh, I miss you, honey?
Who knows? Maybe that's how they show affection.
I miss you too. I'm gonna spend $38 million to prove how much I miss you, and so then he has to get as close as he can.
We'll get to a funny fact about that in a second. But further in this court document, in this filing, she said that he could afford to live anywhere in the world, but he insisted upon the very small community that I call home. So she's basically painting him to be this monster of a person that just has to buy this house next to me.
It's the same community he also calls home.
Right.
Bunch of weirdos.
But she's trying to sell this restraining order, so she's, of course, wording it like that. So here's the detail that is interesting about what you just said. She knew and had a feeling that he was going to try to buy this house across from her sister. So she tried to buy this house. This is one that she couldn't buy. She put in a bid higher than his. She knew he was bidding. So she put in a bid higher than his, but the owner took his because it was $36 million in cash. So he got the house, despite the fact that she tried to buy it with a higher bid.
That's so crazy to imagine having that in cash.
Just paid the cash, just transferred bank accounts.
What a life. What a freaking life.
It's hard to even imagine it. Just buying 35, they've spent $70 million worth of houses, bought $70 million worth of houses just for fun, basically.
What if they really are the cause of the whole housing crisis right now?
But she wasn't done. And I don't know how much more she spent on these 2 houses, but she bought 2 more properties just to continue to keep a distance because she was afraid that this army of spies and whatever it was that he had out was going to buy up these houses to be close to her. So she bought 2 more houses after all this.
Who is who is living in these houses?
No idea.
Just bunch of empty houses?
If it kept Bill from her, she was okay with it. And he admitted that he had hired this private eye company in security to follow her, but it was allegedly to keep her from swiping things in his house like she did with the painting.
The painting that she would have gotten anyway.
Yes.
So who cares?
That was his rationale for why he had to have her followed, because he was afraid she was going to keep stealing things.
Because I don't have enough money to replace all of these things that she's stealing, Judge.
She stole a $32 million Picasso, and the only one I can find is a $17 million Picasso. I'm never going to have a $30 million Picasso again.
Even though we flipped a coin and she was going to get it anyway. Oh, woe is me.
So that was their restraining order fiasco. So another fun thing, what's one thing that generally people in divorces end up fighting over?
Kids.
Every time, kids, right?
Yeah.
Well, their kids are all grown, so they didn't have to fight over them. So guess what they fought over instead?
A dog.
3 cats. They fought over 3 cats.
I would fight over some cats.
She won. Sue won custody, but Bill was awarded visitation rights with the cats.
What does a visitation visit? A visitation.
He got to spend time with the cats.
What does that look like? What?
Well, I'll tell you what it looks like. I'll tell you what it looks like. This visitation that Bill won had to be initiated after a veterinary professional transported the cats, and it ended with that same veterinary professional transporting the cats back to her house. So a vet would go to her house, pick the cats up, make sure they were in good order, take them to his house. He would spend time with the cats, pet them, let them go in the litter box, whatever it is you do with a cat for a couple hours. Watch them sleep. I don't know. And then that vet would take the cats, check them out, make sure they were in good health, bring them back to her house.
Do you think that vet at any point during his very, very long schooling, do you know how hard it is to become a vet? The crap you got to do before you can even get into school. And then when you get into school, it's 8 years of schooling. And then after you get out of school, you have a certain amount of years that you have to do things. I mean, you're looking at like a long time before you are a vet. Do you think in any of that period of time, that vet ever imagined that they are going to be smack dab in the petty doings of 2 crazy rich people and their custody over their cats?
Hey, if you pay me enough money and I'm a vet, I'm going to drive those cats back and forth anytime you want.
Even if I was getting lots of money, there is no way as I'm driving these cats around, I would be like, what is my life? All of my schooling, what was the point?
Well, you would be wondering that when you were experiencing this situation. She never trusted him with the cats, which is why this whole veterinary thing came up. Why a vet had to transport the cats and make sure they were okay. So one time,
he loves the cat, but he's going to harm him?
So one time she shows up unannounced to his house, which wasn't allowed when he had visitation time with the cats. This was against the whole divorce, whatever they signed, the divorce agreement. She shows up unannounced on a hot day and made the claims that their precious cats were not safe because the house was too hot and they were going to die.
Yes. You know how many times cats die from heat?
She did not believe that he was going to take care of them and would not take the cats back without a full physical checkup for all three of them and assurances from the vet that they were okay and not harmed and would continue to be okay after that horrific experience of being in a house that was allegedly too hot.
These people are insane.
It's beyond petty at this point. It's nuts.
I mean, there's something wrong with you if you are sitting there thinking that a cat is going to be too hot. We have outdoor cats down here. It's like 100 degrees sometimes, and they're sitting in the freaking sun. Like, oh, I need to get hot. I need to get warm.
I don't know. I don't know what's going through these people's minds. Don't know. So in December 2017, she decided to stop funding the foundation that they had. She decided to stop putting money in there.
So now she's going to take it out on people who could actually use
She's
the
taking
funds?
it out on the people that could use this charity. They had given more than $700 million to this charity to use of their own money.
Mm-hmm.
And she decides, I'm not doing it anymore. They froze the charity, which cost the charity millions of dollars because of the tax implications from it, because they were not continuing to get money into it. So they have all these millions of dollars. Nope, not putting any more in. We're going to pay millions of dollars in fines. I'd rather pay millions of dollars of fines instead of putting money in, continuing to run this, which has nothing to do with our divorce, nothing to do with us. This is to help people.
How can she afford to buy houses if she has to give to
Obviously,
this charity?
they've got the money. They've got the money. She's paying a vet to drive a cat back and forth for visitation once a week.
I would charge so much money for that if I was a vet. I'd be like, you want me to do this? Okay. I'd be giving them a bill of like $50,000 each trip. 2 there and then another $50,000 back.
She probably would have paid it.
Well,
And he probably would have paid it just to be able to see these cats. Apparently, he loved them so much.
they'd be paying through the nose if it was up to me.
And if I were their kids, knowing they were fighting this much about the cats, you'll see they definitely do not like the parent.
Okay.
Things got so bad around this whole charity fiasco that Bill actually threatened to sue via email and text over this. He's going to threaten her to sue her over the charity.
I'm going to sue you, Sue.
That's as good as your gross joke.
Made me laugh.
Yes, it did. Makes me question if I'm actually funny if you're laughing at that, but you laugh at other things I say.
I like a good little pun.
You like
a good little
You
dad
like a dad
joke.
pun. So these are a couple of the other texts that he sent her
Mm-hmm.
towards or in the middle of this whole divorce proceeding. These were a couple of the highlights. You are disgusting.
Well, her last
That's
name
always
is
a
gross.
classic. There it is. There it is. I was waiting for that one. That's always a classic. And then he said this one. As to an amicable high road divorce, oh sure, you have affairs for years. Sorry, girl, the game is on. A 70-year-old man sent that text.
Sorry, girl. I was only married you for 30 years and you're a woman. Sorry, girl.
He is an interesting fellow, and she is an interesting gal.
Sure.
That's one way to say it. So, almost done, but I thought this was too good to pass up.
Okay.
So after he left PIMCO, he started his own website where he'd give out financial information. That was the whole point of this website, WilliamHGross.com, was to give information on people for investments.
Okay.
Talk about the market, the conditions, what people could look forward to, what was going to
like
happen.
a free website.
Yeah.
Could anybody go on it?
He would go on and he'd print up stuff. What he would do is he would type it up in Microsoft Word, export it into a PDF, upload this PDF to his website, and people could download them.
All right.
So typical thing a 70-year-old man would do. Instead of just typing it in on there, he types it in a Word document, PDF, upload the PDF to the website. Made it as difficult as possible.
A little Creed action there.
Yes. He made it as hard as possible. That's exactly how Creed would create a website. So he put out this series of PDFs that were talking about financial advice, but his third one got very personal. This whole website was for nothing but financial advice, but he decides in this third one to start airing some dirty family laundry. This is how he started the PDF of this. He's got an amazing transition. I will say that. The segue that he uses to get to his financial advice is amazing.
All right, lay it on me.
So here it is. He did not like his mom. If my mother were still alive, it would send her to her grave. But then she's there and already. Let me start that over.
Okay.
If my mother were still alive, it would send her to her grave, but then she's there already and oblivious to the fact that her 31-year-old grandson has lots of tattoos. She swore that when I went into the Navy that if I came back with mom plastered on either arm, that she'd disown me, but I wasn't into it, my mom or the tattoo.
What is happening?
He's airing their dirty laundry.
You're
He basically is saying he hates his mom, and
Yeah,
she
but
hated him.
she's long
Dead doesn't matter, but this is him. This is Bill Gross.
Is he digressing? Is his brain digressing right now? Does he suffer from dementia and so he's going back in time?
This cements the fact that we have to have a Bill Gross Petty Award.
So weird.
That is petty that you hate your mom so much that after she's dead, you have to say stuff like that about her.
I like how there's in that. Her grandson has lots of tattoos.
He'll talk more about those as we go on. Anyway, my son, her grandson, Nick, who's 31, now has one. As a matter of fact, he has plenty. He's got a sleeve on his left arm, a term that basically implies there's no more room left in the in or the arm. No vacancy, full up. I haven't inspected them closely, but I know. Now keep in mind, this is a financial website. I haven't inspected them closely, but I know at least they don't say dad. Thank goodness, because we're estranged for some odd reason, and he'd want to have it removed now. But since it's his sleeve, he has gone on to implant significant life philosophies on the other arm, ankles, back, and parts unknown. He even has the name Gross tattooed on the inside of his lip, which drives my ex-wife Sue mad, and was and is now the only tattoo that I truly enjoy, if only for that reason. Revenge by tattoo, I suppose. That was a lot.
What is going on in this man's brain?
He's getting to the financial advice. Let him get there. Let him get there.
I just have so many things going through my brain as how he is going to tie this back into financial.
Okay, so he continues.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, though, how anyone sees it and if it's supposed to be romantic. I cynically envision the locking of lips whenever it occurs involving a mirror image, sort of like the one a dental assistant would use to discover cavities on his left molar. Kind of a weird makeout would be the result, I suppose. But then millennials are a strange group, and prior to the lip locking, when connected on Tinder, the prospective young lady would swipe right on her phone in eager anticipation of locking on to the rather gross thing on the inside of his lip. How was that dad pun for you? You're speechless. He's talking about his son making out with a woman with a tattoo on his lip.
But the way he worded it was so weird.
It's creepy weird.
Locking lips. And is he accusing his son of always looking in the mirror and then making out with himself?
None of that made sense to me. But it's a financial website. He's getting there. Let him get there. Let him get there.
This. Go for it.
So here we go with more. So Nick would be quite a disappointment to Grandma, and now is, as the reader can tell, to me. Petty. My two older kids, Jeff and Jen, are relatively tattoo-free. Jennifer has one on her leg and probably elsewhere. A dad can't know these things.
Does he think his kids have tattoos in play? Like, he talked about that on his other kid with all the tattoos. Now he's saying this about his other. What a weirdo.
Yeah. And Jeff, well, as his mom and my first wife says at birthday parties, he's perfect. Guess there's always one tattooed black sheep in every family. Nick is mine.
Is there? What?
So, are you ready for all of this and how it transitions?
It's got to be something about like investing in tattoo ink or something.
So this was in 2020.
Okay.
And this was his transition line.
All right.
After writing all of this nonsense rambling, here's his transition. Well, the global economy has been tattooed in 2020 by an invisible virus. And then he continues on giving financial advice. Imagine him thinking that was a witty way, writing all of that, writing about tattoos, to write the line, the global economy has been tattooed.
I mean,
He used that as a way to talk trash about his family and his ex-wife, to talk about the tattoo that the economy got by COVID.
no, he just wrote that because he wanted to be a douche.
Well, yeah, he's petty and hates his family,
Yeah.
but he used it.
For some reason, his family is... He's estranged. Well,
Can't
for
imagine
some
why my
reason.
son doesn't like me. Which leads me to the fact that he's fighting over those cats more than he's mentioned his kids or anything in any of this divorce.
I wish I had put in the end there, but my cats are doing good.
That would be an amazing way to end that. Got to visit my cats this weekend. I pet them. They were purring so loud. We played games. They went to the bathroom. Sadly, they had to go back.
XOXO, my sweet
Kind
loves.
of like we have to go back to the real world, despite the fact that we have this raging virus in the world. We have to get back to normal, just like my cats had to go back to their home.
I just imagine that he is going to, as much as humanly possible, like always, write his family into these nonsensical financial
I didn't
scenarios.
I didn't go and look and see if he's done it again, but I was just too blown away by that to not include it. I just figured that was a perfect way to end just how petty and ridiculous he is.
Yeah, those were some rambling petties there.
But it doesn't end his story because there's a whole nother saga after this with his new wife.
Wait, he got remarried?
He's remarried. He has a new saga with his new wife, with his neighbors, that I'm going to have to talk about in another episode because this one's already going kind of long.
I can't wait.
They're
still married.
Him and his new wife, yes.
Oh, yes.
It may be a mini episode. If I can get enough for a full episode, I'll make it a full. But we are definitely going to follow up on Will Gross in a new episode and talk about his new saga that he's involved with his neighbors and the city.
So we'll have to do
not just his
part
neighbors,
2.
but the whole city.
Yeah. So we'll do a part 2 on Elon Musk first. You have to first do that because he's been making some waves lately.
Yes.
And then we'll do a number 2 on Bill Gross. We have to.
Both of those two deserve it.
Maybe they're BFFs.
I would imagine they run
know.
in the same circles. They had to have crossed paths at some point.
God, I hope they do. I hope you come across some story in your research where they are. He's his mentor. He's Elon Musk's mentor. And that's why as he ages, he's getting pettier.
They have the same level of childish petty for sure.
Oh my God, I would love it. All right. Well, now we have to go to the petty roundtable.
I feel like you've probably got some good ideas from how ridiculous those were.
I have so many things going through my head. This is
Save it
so
for the
wonderful.
table. Let's go now.
All right. All right. So I had so many things because he's done so many petty things. Well, they've both done so many petty things. I just had so many.
Including his company.
So, he gave us so much ammunition of funny things.
There was a lot.
It was a lot.
And more to come.
I loved all of it. It was amazing.
I feel like this episode will be good for the next one. Because at first I was only going to talk about what we're going to do next, the next part of Bill Gross. But when I started doing more research on him, I found all this. And I thought that this is even going to give the next one even more substance. It's going to give it more of a basis of, wow, this guy's nuts. It'll make the next one even better.
Yeah, it's like a gold mine of petty. It's wonderful. So I got to thinking about it, and I feel like what his wife could have done to make things even pettier. No clue. His ex-wife, I should say. No clue how she would have pulled this off, but he is so against tattoos and clearly issues with his mother. So I thought it would be hilarious if she could somehow drug him so he's out.
Go on.
Have a tattoo put on him that it could be any image she picked But whatever the image is, when you know how they have these paintings where when you get closer, it's just other little paintings
Mm-hmm.
or other little scenes and they make up this bigger one.
Right.
Every single tattoo, no matter what, when you get closer, is just tiny mom. Because you know how his mom didn't want him to have a tattoo of
Mhm.
mom. It's made up out of the little tiny word mom. And it's just tattoos put in, as he put it, unspeakable places, which who gets tattooed in unspeakable places? I don't know, but I say let's give him a tattoo in an unspeakable place. Something that he hates, and it's made out of the little tiny word mom.
So I have a lot of questions about this.
This would obviously never be able to happen.
Not the least of which. What is she going to drug him with?
I don't know.
She can put a tattoo in an unspeakable place and he is not going to know it's happened.
There's plenty of drugs that you can knock someone out cold to be able to do that.
For long enough?
Yes. For sure.
Okay.
There's no way that this could ever be done, but I would absolutely love it if somebody could ever do this.
I would have to think it's illegal.
Obviously, it's illegal. I'm not saying this is something.
But it's an incredible idea.
Just give him a tattoo in an unspeakable place.
Incredibly illegal idea, but just throw away illegal and just stick with incredible.
Let's just do it. Only because of how insanely weird his ramblings were on his financial site, where he mentioned tattoos in unspeakable places not once but freaking twice, and he's talking about his kids
having makeout sessions.
So weird. So that's what I came up with, a funny thing that could possibly be done, as either she did to him secretly or it was just his punishment. Like some judge who's just sick and tired of dealing with these two shenanigans is just like, well, guess what? I'm punishing you for having you put me through this, and this is your punishment.
Her punishment is you're going to get drugged and she's going to put a tattoo on you.
She's
Don't
an
know
amazing
when,
artist.
Don't know where.
Yeah.
I think it would be funny is if she did a tattoo of that Picasso.
That's what I was thinking.
But made it up with little words, mom.
Yes.
In an unspeakable place.
On his arse.
On his butt. I said butt.
That I had about, I'm not kidding, I had one with the houses that I was thinking that she could do. I had a couple other ones, but I just kept coming back to just picturing him waking up horrified because he's in pain in some place and goes and looks in the mirror and comes across this hideous tattoo.
What if she got tattoos of the cats and he always had like a sleeve tattoo of the cats on her arm? And everywhere she went for the rest of her life, she had to wear short sleeve shirts. And anywhere that he saw her, he was going to see these tattoos of their precious cats.
I'm kind of sad that his son didn't put some tattoos of the cats.
He may have one.
That would be so funny, because how obnoxious would it be to have parents who acted like this?
Can't imagine why they're estranged.
Yeah, and then to have his dad write that out there so publicly.
But, I mean, you probably would feel kind of torn, though, because your parents have all this money. Do you put up with them long enough just till you turn 18 and you get your money, and then you turn your backs and not even tell anyone you're related to them?
Well, I mean, usually rich families have trust funds for their kids. You come into your trust fund around whatever age they pick, which seems to be 25 for most of them.
Whatever
he's already
the age
31.
is. Whatever the age. Oh, he's older than that.
He's already much older, so who cares?
Right, but whatever the age is, do you stick it out up until that point?
Yeah, of course you stick it out to get that money. So you're
I don't know how
independent
trust
of them.
funds work. If like they can take it all out when they're 25 or whatever it is, or if they have to take a certain amount every year, which basically requires that you have to show some sort of
I don't know.
relationship to your parents.
This is where, if we had the Clark brothers, we could ask them how their trust funds worked, but we can't. They're dead.
Sadly, they're dead.
But anyway, that was my thought. It would just be really funny if that's what he had to do. He had to get a tattoo made up of the word mom. Little teeny tiny.
Of the Picasso painting that got stolen from the house that she was going to rightfully get anyways.
Oh,
It's just so devious on her part to take it and replace it just to do it. Like for no other reason other than to do it.
I don't know. I mean, if I could paint that good where he has complimented me and my paintings are amazing and he sometimes couldn't tell the difference, I think it's kind of funny. Why not? She was going to get the original anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter. It was just the game of the whole thing. The game was afoot and she played it.
Mm-hmm. She did. I guess when you're wealthy, you play a different type of game than we do. So anyway, that was
That was
my
a pretty good
thoughts.
one. It made me laugh.
It makes me laugh every time I think about it. Only because I just am imagining, because tattoos are very painful.
Mm-hmm.
So I was imagining waking up in pain, wondering like, what happened? Oh my God. Why am I in so much pain? And then the horror.
Funny thing is, so I was just thinking, yeah, he turns around in the mirror and looks, and he's got a big giant tattoo of Picasso on his butt, and he gets a magnifying glass out and looks even closer, and it says "Mom." But
I don't know if you'd ever noticed.
There was something that I was reading that I didn't include in this.
Mm-hmm.
Funny enough about his butt, he was talking about how some interviews in one of these websites that I was looking at that he was giving and talking about back when he was still married to his wife, to Sue, and about how she views him or something like that. And he starts talking about the cellulite on his butt, and if he has any, he doesn't want her to tell him. It was beyond odd.
Wait, so he's saying he had cellulite on his butt.
Or has it, but doesn't want to know. I don't know. It's very odd. It was just a really... You didn't want to read it, but you had to read it. I'll have to show you afterwards.
Weird.
It was an odd interview.
I have cellulite on my butt. She would tell me I had cellulite on my butt and it made me mad?
No, he didn't want her to. Because then he would think less of himself. It was bizarre.
Does he never look at his own butt?
He said he didn't.
Maybe it goes back to nobody looking him in the eye.
I can't look at my own button with my eyes, so you don't look at me in my eyes.
So weird.
What if he demanded they look at his butt and that was it when they were talking to him? Because he can't look at it.
You're so rich. Go get surgery to fix it.
Apparently he just didn't want to know if he had it.
Who worries about that?
I don't know.
What is this guy wearing Speedos on the beach? Sue, I'm going to wear these Speedos. I'm not going to look at myself in the mirror. And please, for the love of God, do not tell me if I have cellulite on my butt. I can't handle it. Then don't wear the Speedo. I can't help myself.
He just wants her to be attracted to him.
What does that have to do with someone's butt?
What does anything these two have done? What did that have to do with anything?
Yeah, I'm forgetting the great stories of how people get together because they're so attracted to the other one's butt.
Obviously.
What if that's how they got together? She saw his butt and was like, I can't resist that man. And then she finds out who she is. Oh, he's like, also
one day
super
I'd
wealthy.
love to plant a tattoo on that.
Sigh.
Oh, William.
Anyway.
William Gross, you're going to outdo yourself in the next episode, so don't think you're off the hook.
Wait. And we have that great award. All right.
Yes.
Moving on.
You have an episode next week.
I do have an episode next week.
I'm excited to find out who it is.
Furiously
I have no clue.
writing it.
As always, I have no clue, just like you didn't know who the Grosses were. And even if I told you, you wouldn't have known who they were anyway.
No, I would not have.
So I'm going to be surprised.
Do you think that the character in Wedding Singer was somewhat based on him because he has such a weird last name? Gulia?
No.
Darn it.
Not at all.
All right. When I see Adam Sandler next, I'm going to ask him.
Okay. Next time I see Drew Barrymore, I'll ask her.
Okay, good.
Are you having an affair with him?
Wait, are you having an affair with her? Did we just give each other away?
Darn.
Let's just call it even.
If the Grosses have taught us anything, it's that you should just constantly accuse each other of having affairs. That's the moral of our episode
if this
today.
is your plan to get me to buy all the houses around us, it's working. Anyway,
go to our website.
letstalkpetty.com.
letstalkpetty.com. You can find links to all of our old episodes, our new episodes, our mini episodes,
all the episodes.
All the places you can go buy our stickers, shirts, which is only one place, but there's a link there that you can click. And you can click all of our social media there, especially Twitter, which is about the only one we're super active on. Well, I am. I just tell Kate anything that happens there.
I like to hear about it, though.
So if you have any messages, it'll just be me reading it to her. But she loves them.
I do.
And you can go on our website and you can leave us a voice message. Please tell us about any petty stories that you have. We already have a couple that a listener has forwarded to us that we're going to talk about for our mini episodes. So if you have any, we can do the same thing for you.
We just did a mini episode off of listener.
We did.
Sending a great story in that sent me on a rant about weddings.
We did. So go there, find out all the fun stuff, and we will talk to you next week.
See you then.
Thanks for listening. Please be sure and give our show a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. And be sure to follow and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.